Hey, what's going on, everyone? It is David Palmer, the Leo King, and welcome to Deep Astrology, your weekly astrology forecast for the week of September the 2nd through the 8th of 2020. If you have never watched this show before, make sure that you've checked out highvibe.tv. This is your weekly astrology forecast for the collective, and not only can you get daily and my weekly sun sign horoscopes exclusively on highvibe.tv, but my daily tarot, my weekly tarot, and intuitive, and we have so many other awesome practitioners and people that are doing awesome things on highvibe.tv. We just added also some sound healing, and we have some other amazing other shows that we're about to announce right now that have been in development for months that we're getting ready to showcase. Thanks so much for always being part of highvibe.tv. Remember, if you want this show in full, it's only live right now if you're on highvibe.tv on Wednesday nights. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're watching a premiere, which is a pre-recording. That means that we recorded it already. And when it gets to the charts, that's where the blocker comes up, but you get the audio version. So if you want to see where I go deep into the charts, especially with this Mars retrograde coming next week, and with Jupiter getting ready to come to its direct motion, you're definitely going to want to see the charts and the helio chart for the day before Mars goes retrograde. Also, I have this awesome horoscope to prepare you for this Mars retrograde. It is called Battle of the Gods. As above, so below. Well, if there's a battle of the gods happening upstairs, what do you think is going to be happening downstairs? This goes into all the history and, of course, all my horoscope style and predictions. Definitely check it out. It covers all the way through until we get to this end of this year, and you will learn some history like you have never seen before. Make sure you check it out. It's over 4 hours long. It was in a special presentation I did. You can get it on the paid video section of highvibe.tv, the website. And if you want to watch it on the apps like Apple TV, Roku, iOS, or Android, of course, just get it on highvibe.tv, the website, on your mobile browser or on your browser on your computer, and then bang, watch it on the spaceships. You know what I mean? So this is a show where I channel the astrology to you, and then I go deep into the charts, which are brought to you by Astro Gold on iOS, Android, or any Apple device. Go to Astro Gold to get that in the app stores. If you're on PC, make sure that you check out Solar Fire. This week, we are getting prepared for Mars to come retrograde, which is going to happen on Wednesday, the 9th. And this is a big deal for Mars to come retrograde because, of course, we don't see Mars retrograde in specific signs every 2 years. Mars is a retrograde every 2 years, but you know, this is a big one because it's in its home sign of Aries, and we haven't seen it since 1988. And we haven't seen a full, complete Mars retrograde through the whole sign of being in Aries since 1941, which ironically ended in November of 41, and we all know what happened in December of 41. So this is a big time for us, and Mars is our generating power. It is our sacral energy. It is our confidence in our life, and it's being hard aspected still by Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto, which it's going to continue when it goes retrograde. And so this is a week to not take lightly when it comes to preparation for what do you want in your life? What actions are you going to take? We're in Virgo. We're trying to get all of the understandings in our physical reality and make those changes. Mercury as well, finishing in Virgo, but coming right into Libra. And so this is definitely going to be a lot to weigh out in our heads about, well, one, relationships, two, it is going to be in this major cardinal energy. Remember, we have 3 planets in cardinal of Capricorn, Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn. We have Chiron and Mars in Aries. And then we got Juno and now Mercury in Libra. And so with Venus also finishing in Cancer, this is a lot of cardinal. And so this is a time about initiations. And what are we going to do? Because when Mars comes retrograde, it's a lot like, you know, killing the throttle when you're racing. It's a lot like killing the energy to take action or define what you're going to do. And it already is difficult enough right now as we've seen the slowdown of Mars over this definitely the last couple weeks, and in the square to Saturn that was on the 27th. So, and I just really want to remind people that this is an important time to get prepared for these things. But we have to also remember that even before this Mars retrograde, we have a lot going on with Venus. We have a lot to talk about today when it comes to what is the Sun in Virgo going to be doing as well. And let's not just forget that we have a North node that's in Gemini and a South node in Sag, and we have Jupiter still retrograde through this whole week. And that is difficult, especially when you know the position of it and where it's at. And I know it can be difficult sometimes during, just even right now, because it can feel mundane. This full moon in Pisces that starts off this week definitely is having us start to see where we're missing out in our reality. what has been a facade, what has been a mask, what has been also our true ethereal spiritual desires in a sense of a dreamlike state. But I've always liked the feeling of, you know, when you feel alone, and I don't say I like that feeling, but the description of it, trust me, I don't like to feel alone. It's not fun. But I think we've all had to go through this really deep inner alone feeling inside to get to the bottom of what needs to change in our lives and in our reality. And there's a lot that we're going to be balancing out with this Mercury being in Libra. You know, it is trying to understand the nature in which is going to bring us a much more peaceful life. And also at the same time, it does look at relationships, because relationships seem to be the focal point of, I think, the underlying energy of 2020. Sure, there's the crazy energy of all the Capricorn that's been the main show with Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn. You can go see Jupiter and Saturn at night, you know, every night, and watch it all night, especially here in the summer if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, right? It's like just nonstop. But I just want to say that this has been the underlying part of relationships, because if you take a look at the last Saturn, Pluto, of course, and Jupiter was all in Libra. And so then you add to the fact that we've had a Venus retrograde this year on the North Node. We are dealing with Juno in Libra still, that's in square to everything that is happening over in Capricorn. And then you add that a Mars is about to retrograde in our sign of ego and ourself, in opposition to things like Juno in Libra, and at the exact opposition point to where Saturn and Pluto met in 83. So there's a lot of looking at this last, you know, if you take 83 to now, this last 37 years of really trying to understand what relationships did for you in your life. And so this is a big part with Venus square Mars this week. Venus in Cancer, which is, she's been through a lot. Remember, when she entered into Cancer, she had to go through not only the retrograde in Gemini and the squares to Neptune and the North Node energy, which is very intense. Remember, she likes to be with Ketu, the South Node. And so it's a harsh reality check about relationships that have been going on here pretty much this whole entire year, and also a lot of confusion on where that's all going. And I would say that because of Venus square Chiron that happened in Cancer. Venus then opposed Saturn, Venus opposed Pluto, Venus opposed Jupiter, of course. These are all things that are not the most friendly for Venus. And now Venus is squaring Mars, and Mars is at home in its essential dignity. So this is about the pressure that's building emotionally and the definition about relationships. This also has to deal with our financials and money. Remember, Uranus is in Taurus and it is in retrograde, but it did make exact aspects to the full moon in Pisces that really is about that, whether it's that alone feeling inside. And one thing about Pisces is it's infinite. I mean, you can take your soul and put it in so many different dimensions as you feel really alone. You have a lot of visions and dreams. You're looking at your dreams. You know, you're getting downloads from spirit. You are wanting to escape the reality. You are in a place that was all connected to Uranus here in Taurus about, well, where is the crazy heaven in life that's going to feel better? And how am I going to get there? And I will do anything that is different and wild and crazy, or just calculative, almost like an experiment, to find that. And there is that necessity, and I feel that the universe is doing this to prepare us for this Mars retrograde that comes on the 9th, because what else do we have left? You know, that's kind of the question, is what else do you have left in life? One thing that we always, I would say, in circles of spiritual circles or festivals I've gone to, or when I go to conferences for astrology, the one thing that always comes up about life itself, the one thing that I would say a lot of the collective generally would say is a common theme of why we're here, would just be people, right? That without people in life, without our connections, our brothers, our sisters, our friends, our family, our lovers, without them in our life, and if it was just us, would it even really be the experience that we even have down here? Would we be able to relate and understand different things, or have different ideas, or to have different ways of communication? Because what would you be talking to? You know, if it was just, you know, just nature, I'm sure that I would be, you know, hanging out with the animals I like the lions. I'd probably just be roaring all day, but a lot of people think I roar all day anyway. So I guess, you know, it wouldn't change things too much. But I just want to give this tone of let's take this serious, but let's not take this with any fear. Because I would say that the fear with Mars square Venus here is this emotional feeling that, you're not able to get something in life, or am I really going to go through with this identity of something emotionally anymore, relationship-wise, project-wise, or something that you just feel that you want to create. There's also the pressure of feeling that you're not getting anything. I would say that this is not a time to put any more unnecessary pressure. And a better way to put it would be that in times when the weight is actually lifted off us is where we can see more clarity. Then when we have a lot of weight on ourselves, we might not be able to see things clear. And so instead of looking at this as where maybe you feel alone, even if you're in, let's say, the most beautiful marriage, maybe you feel alone in friends, or maybe, because remember, Uranus deals with all people and all the different spectrums of the kind of people we have in our life. That people are people, but they break out into family or friends or colleagues or enemies, or they can go to any direction. And so this is a time to where with this Uranus that was aspecting this full moon, and within this next 2 weeks of the full moon going to wane into the new moon that will of course be in Virgo, we're trying to bring this reality from that new moon in Leo that was 2 weeks ago of our heart, and with Mercury, and remember that was in trine with Mars, that this is about us having to realize that we're going to have to do some wild experiments. We're going to have to do some different things to bring that heart energy in, to bring that creative energy in. And with Mars being squared still by Saturn, it's hard because it feels like we have to take big risks. I put up a clip from Officer and a Gentleman on my Instagram to help people understand better, because some of the millennials might not know that movie, unfortunately. But it's kind of weird, I try to share movies and people are like, what? What is that? I'm like, those are great. Those were big movies. But I guess, I'm becoming a time capsule. And in Officer and a Gentleman, it was just a scene of how, when I was in the military, and when you have a drill instructor, it's very Capricorn. Here's the rules, and I'm going to get you into shape, Mars, the warrior. And Richard Gere, is tested to see if he's going to quit. And so he pushes him to the limit to where you would quit. And then when he doesn't quit, he goes, okay, well then I'm going to get rid of you. And he wants to see his reaction. It's almost like God is not only testing you if you're going to quit on your dreams or quit on the reality you know that you can have, or the love or the emotions or the things that you want to bring the quality of your life up with, and asking, okay, testing you and seeing if you're going to quit on that. And at the same token, then when you say, no, I'm not going to quit, just being like, oh, then I'll just quit it for you. And then how you react to that is, do you know how to surrender? But do you also know how to tell the universe, like, no, this is what I really want in my life? Because if you feel the reality, and this is something that I had a conversation with Ann with before this show. There's people out there in the world who really, believe and push the whole, you have the free will and the destiny in your life. And I can agree with that on very, of course, subtle terms, as far as like, I'm not going to say that I know the whole universe. But I am an astrologer, and I am an astrologer that puts 100 into the astrology as far as giving 100% trust in it and understanding that there is predetermined motions in life. That I would say that, we'll use the example of lockdowns. If you had free will, would you experience the world like the way that you want to? So that Uranus energy is that rebellion kind of free will, like, well, if I rebelled, because that's the answer that just came to your head. That free will is rebellion. It's free will would be rebellion from all things, including the predetermined aspects of karma and everything. So when we talk about free will, does it actually take you to the right place is a big question. And free will is also holding on to things. And I think that the main part of this week with Venus and square to Mars, especially in Cancer, Venus is like a squirrel that wants a lot of nuts, and it wants to store it away in its little hut. And it's a lot like Winnie the Pooh, and how much honey is still there for Winnie, because if things went into Losyville, Winnie would be winning still if Winnie had plenty of honey stored away. But, you know, there's that whole element of like, you know, what are we holding on to so much that is not really going forward? This is a big T-squared of Mars, because Venus opposed Saturn in Capricorn in its essential dignity, and then Mars in its essential dignity, and these are the two malefics. So when you get these two malefics that have been aspecting to Venus in Cancer, this is saying, like, what are you emotionally holding on to still? And we've got to, I'm an astrologer. You all like astrology. You all maybe are astrologers. And I believe anybody that's into astrology can technically call themselves an astrologer. That I think that we're in a new age of astrology that is beautiful. And I just want to say there's amazing colleagues out there. And there's so many amazing people in astrology that we all are astrologers. That it's not some higher up person who's an astrologer. That we're all looking at the planets and trying to understand our life, trying to understand the lives of others and trying to help each other out through it, and trying to also speak the code and the language of the universe to each other that we all know, and that we all feel weird when people look at us like we're crazy when we're talking about, oh yeah, I've got Venus in, you know, Leo, and it's in the 12th, and yeah, it does square Saturn, you know. Like, you know, this is the beautiful part of life, that we have this language. But what I'm trying to say is that we can't deny that Venus is about relationships. And with the Mercury being in Libra, and we can't deny that Venus is making hard aspects to both malefics. So what is it emotionally that's the complication here? What are you not willing to budge on? What are you not willing to act on? Or what are you acting too much forcefully on? You know, are you going after the same kind of, you know, themed person, character of person with Saturn and Mars, identity and character? Or this also looks in you. Are you going to hold the same identity and character of the kind of way that you come in relationships with other people? Are you even happy with the kind of character and the identity of the person that maybe you're with? And that goes in all areas of life. And of course, Mercury in Libra wants to find a negotiation. So this is where you're going to see lots of people who are breaking up but then renegotiating and then realize when Mercury comes into horrible aspects, you know, no, I don't think so. So don't start negotiating off things that you already know that you don't want to do. With Mercury finishing here in Virgo, right at the beginning of the week here, like right away, here on Wednesday into Thursday, like just make sure, because right away, Mercury comes into Libra and wants to start negotiating. And you need to know and understand what you have to do in your life to make sure that you get that emotional bond that isn't holding on to things like too much of honey, although it's probably gone bad. So Winnie might go back to get some honey, but it might be stale, or it might be old, or maybe all the malaria mosquitoes of the West Nile virus that's going through America, you know, got in there, that happens to maybe mimic a lot of things that we see around the world. So I just want to say that at the end part of this talk, before we go into the charts, and I know I'm not in my crazy mode tonight, I know I'm not maybe saying all my jokes like I usually do. I'm asking you, with Venus that will come into Leo this weekend, and with the moon in Taurus, I have those two aspects, that there is a beautiful, quality, amazing life out there. And we get this beautiful energy of the moon exalted and Venus and Leo, where Venus can finally take a moment here to go, I want to be happy. I want to be happy. What is that happiness? Because it's been 2 new moons in Cancer before the new moon that we just had in Leo 2 weeks ago, right? And Venus, that's taken a long time to get here into Leo. We have Mars stationing and stopping this week at 28 degrees of Aries, in exact opposition to the Saturn-Pluto conjunction that finished in 1983 in Libra, at that 27, 28 degree mark. There's no coincidences here. That we are head facing on how we deal with people. Full moon, exact aspect to Uranus. Venus. We've never seen Venus in Cancer oppose Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn in Capricorn since 1284. That I just want to say, and especially even, and then you add this in opposition, but then you add the square to Mars that's about to go retrograde in Aries. Never seen that. Go look up the astrology. I've done it. That's why you should get Battle of the Gods. That this weekend is a glimmer of hope, and the radical experiment with the moon and Uranus and with Venus and Leo, before it starts making squares. And remember that Mercury and Venus are making great aspects this week, not only in Cancer and Taurus, Cancer and Virgo, but they're also making great aspects in Libra and Leo when they both are moving signs. And these are the best friends of the sun, and this deals with our social life, and this definitely deals with our relationships and our feel-good energy. So we've got an ability to really change things really fast here, even though it seems like that's impossible. But we have to be willing to take risk. We have to be willing to see that there's fortune on the other side of risk, that there's reward, because that's what Jupiter retrograde really is. And this is the last full week of it until the 12th into the 13th, when we see Jupiter direct, which is next weekend. Not this weekend, it's next weekend, where we need to retrieve the karmic stuff that's going to open the doors to destiny in our life. And with all this Uranian energy, not only with the moon, not only with the full moon that also happened, but with the moon in Taurus this weekend, to find that better life, to find that happier life, to also set a bar in our life and not just take things just to take the things in life, but to start to narrow down, not through the field of identification, but to narrow the field down by the understanding of worth, value, and heart space, which is why Taurus is the ruler of Venus. It's why the sun is the ruler of Leo. That when we understand our value, when we understand our core soul and the brightness that it is, we can step into the ultimate. And I just want you all to realize that come Mars retrograde, it's going to be a lot harder. And things are not going to be as easy. This next 3-month cycle will be crazier than what we saw the last 9 months of 2020. But there is this moment to change things. Because when we do start next week, right before that Mars retrograde, it starts to get really tense. And it starts to get kind of last chance fanatical with the moon in Gemini, sextile Venus and Leo. Like, okay, on Monday, let's get it going. I got to figure this out. And I just want to also say, get ready for Mars just when it stops. It just feels like, And I just really want to just let you all know that change can happen more than ever with Jupiter and Pluto conjunct. And if you add Saturn there, it will hold that change for you. But you can't be afraid of endings. You can't be afraid of the death card. And how ironic that we live in a world today that is pushing you to be afraid. And that fear is either overtaking you or you're not listening to it at all because you're taking the time to face your own inner fears or the things that you're afraid to make your life better with. And that if you're having troubles with your life and getting through this reality right now, I would say that the biggest question you need to ask is if you are using the energy of fear into a positive of transformation, or you're just waiting for that fear in the outside world that's projecting onto you to continue to be some sort of either person or political party or something that will get rid of that fear for you and give you your life back, when the real work right now is you in facing your deepest emotional, heart, value, destined positions. And whether or not you're just a rebel for free will to do whatever the hell you want and don't know how to be in line with the truth of the universe, and whether or not you're ready to take the true destiny in your life and know how to ride the waves of destiny and make it fun, or just let your free will determine you know how to deal with that big wave and get crashed. And so, as Craig sits up here, I just always like to do this real quick. I actually didn't set some of these things up. I hope you all are doing good out here. Let's add the stars. So we are getting ready for that Mars retrograde, right? So here's the date today, September the 2nd, even though you can't see it, but it's September the 2nd. But we'll look at it from this view, from Mars view. So Mars must be a very interesting look from Mars right now. Not only is Mars going up, it's not able to see the Earth. Remember, it's not able to probably see Venus either by the placement of the sun. But at night, what is Mars looking at? Neptune, but I wonder if you could see, I bet you could not see Neptune from Mars, but I bet you might be able to see Uranus from Mars. Maybe. I don't know. That would be something. I have not looked at that fact. But with the sun lighting up Saturn, maybe there would be a certain time, a night you'd be able to see it. But let's just look at Mars, right? So if you were on daytime in the Mars, you'd be looking at it, right? If we look from Earth's point of view, you'd be like right here, you know. Oh, and you want to freeze on me. That's life. Mars retrograde. Things are going to happen. But anyway, so just so you all prepared, and we'll just enable this. Yep. Okay. So it won't even do it. So anyway, we can go back to camera. And just know, as you can see, here's the Earth about past Mars, right? And we have to all prepare, because think of it like this: as humans on Earth, we're actually getting ready at like a NASCAR race to take the inside lane and pass the leader. But that leader, if you were Mars, and that's the warrior, remember, that is the god of war, Mars, in its home sign of Aries. When you pass the leader, there's something very weird about, especially in racing, and I'm using this term because the only thing that I can relate to in life, in a round circle, that things are passing each other, is racing. That even when you're a kid and you're passing your friend on the bike, you know, they're going to put up a good fight. Well, Mars is going to put up the biggest fight, and there's already a lot of tension. So I just wanted to show you that, to remember that I'm not just saying this from when people look at 2D charts, especially these Instagram astrologers and a lot of the Twitter ones. You know, they just put up a post. They don't show you shit. They don't go deep with you. They don't take you through the understandings of it all. And I just want to give you guys that perspective better. And I know for some people out there that are, you know, true good astrologers as far as professionally, sometimes it's kindergarten stuff we're talking about here, but it's important. And I think that we should be all prepared, as this weekend is this glimmer of hope for all of us on Earth to make a big change. And even this whole week, I would say that this is the week to prepare and to not hesitate, because hesitation is going to be the biggest we've ever seen in our life, or better yet, since I talked about lockdowns, the lockdown on your ability to feel like you even have free will, or the lockdown that you would feel that you'd be able to take some sort of action in your life. Like, it would just be, and it also is harder to define things with Mars retrograde. And it also brings up a lot of issues. And, you know, for each sun sign and whatever your rising is, it's going to be a different effect, of course. And that's why you should probably subscribe to highvibe.tv. And so, speaking of subscribing, we're about to go into the charts right now. So if you're not a member of highvibe.tv, I'm going to cut this thing to just audio. And of course, you're watching it pre-recording. Of course, I love you all on High Vibe, and I love you all on YouTube too. I don't want to say I love anybody better, but I do appreciate the people. You know, I know a lot of people use Patreon, but we do it different here. We have a network, and we really do a lot to help the community and bring lots of different perspectives and give you quality and give you an app to be able to watch live and not have to download some weird thing or go through that or this. Like, we go the extra mile here. We go the extra mile to give you the quality of the charts, to give you the quality of the presentation style, but also the information. And the people that are in the background that also do this work, they put everything, their whole lives, including myself. Everything is about this. We really don't have a life outside of this. And so I appreciate you all that subscribe to highvibe.tv and to be able to get all the information. And for those that are on YouTube that have not come in yet, I understand, you know, sometimes life, you can't subscribe. And I've been there before. And that's why I give you this show for free. And I always say, and I always will say, that I always give on my YouTube channel for free what I can give every week to still give you the information. So let's take a look at those charts, and we'll see you all on YouTube audio-wise, and then for all of us that are on High Vibe, we're going deep into the charts right now. So, all right, September 2nd, 2020 is when I ran this chart, and here's this Venus. So I want to show you this T-square, because this is the big deal that's going to happen on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right? So Venus has been opposed Saturn. It just happened on the full moon, and the squares to Mars, right? And we got Lilith with Mars too. Whew. So there's definitely a feeling of, I mean, I'm calling it hunger because of the stuff that's coming, but it's want, it's need, it's desire. Let's add the sun trine Uranus exactly. This feeling I need something different. I need to break my routine into feeling a better life. So there's a lot around this Mars and Uranus energy that's being aspected, positive from the sun and negative from Venus and Saturn. And so Mars is like, well, I don't have my commander as my best friend, and I don't have the girlfriend, so I have to go to battle, and I just went through a divorce, or I just went through a breakup, or I just went through this, and my commander's screaming at me. Like, that's the vibe right now. And I actually was thinking about this just recently. I was like, okay, so I forgot where I got this whole thing from. It was actually, I was watching, it's a show on AMC. It's kind of older. It's called Washington Turn. It's about spies it's during the Revolutionary War. Turn is the name of it. I forgot, yeah, Turn. Washington Spies, I think it is. Anyway, there's moments in that show where you're just like, oh my gosh, this fool just, not only are the people in charge like not digging this fool, it's like Benedict Arnold. That's actually the character, and that's a real life person who actually was an American, who was first British, then of course joined the revolution, and then became a Tory, and was where we get the whole idea of somebody becoming a traitor is Benedict Arnold. So, that whole notion is we might feel, are we betraying ourselves if we feel we need to jump ship? Or are we somebody who's going to stay loyal to something? In that show, and the way that it's even depicted in history it was his wife. It was like she was involved, and she was playing him, and she was playing the fiddle. So he did what she told him to do, basically, because he was like, I'll move the heavens for you. I'll even betray my own team in the war just to do this. And I would say, make sure you know what you're doing right now when it comes to what you really want. Don't sit, though, in something that you don't want to sit in. I know he's kind of a bad example, but it's just the example of like Saturn and Venus to Mars. Mars is a warrior, so it's like, I'm not really digging getting yelled at by Saturn to tell me all the rules and what I have to do and what it's not allowed. And then Venus and Cancer, like, I have all these emotions and I'm trying to, make you, I want to feel this. And you have emotions too. And you're like, and it's relationships. And where's the emotion that I need? And it's like, what do I do? And so there's that Sun Uranus about a different experiment. It's not being a trader. It's not so much about maybe even trading teams. It's much more about trying to understand this is an experiment now of understanding the people we align with and the values. With Benedict Arnold, it wasn't about the values. He had been accused of a lot of different things, of not only being a traitor, but the main thing was because he was using the Continental Army's ships, goods, horse and wagons and stuff he was a general, as for his own private gain to get things to impress his girlfriend, because, you know what I mean? So they were like, dude, we have no money. You have to remember that the same time that we're about to come into with Pluto is at the same time when the Continental Congress started to be formed. And the U.S. Navy was before the Declaration of Independence in 1775. So as Pluto's about to go through its Pluto return, we have Saturn on America's Pluto. There's that whole element of understanding like, hey, so many things started to get built during what we're about to come into right now. And you have to know that allegiance, but it was the money. It was the continental money that had been, of course, the British were smart and just like flooded it with false currency, which was basically, when you get a counterfeit money, they were counterfeiting that Continental Congress money. And so that's why Congress was mad. They were like, we don't even have enough money to fund the war anymore. And you're using all of the stuff. And he felt betrayed because he felt like they owed him money. And so I just want to say that this is a time where it's like, if you're not feeling like the monetary value in your life is being there, look at who you're hanging around. 2, if you're not feeling like you're gaining anything right now in life and you're not getting what you emotionally feel like, you need to look at the people who you're around. Because this Uranus and Taurus is like, I'm trying to connect you to the heaven of people. Are you willing to make a life change? That's what the sun is saying in Virgo. I'm willing to make the change. Sun in Uranus is Aquarius Leo. That is the polarity of light and bringing connection of light into the world. So there is that understanding of those polarities right now very extremely through the Sun trine Uranus while Mars is besieged. And while Venus is besieged too. The masculine and the feminine inside of all of us, of our needs, wants, and desires, and the definition of that, the action of that, and the receiving of that is all going through a tizzy right now as we enter into this period. We have Mercury, of course, in Virgo, which is trine to Saturn, trying to make big plans. What needs to change in life, taking it seriously, the serious thoughts of, if I make a choice right now, of course, with every choice, there's a cause to create the effect. And I would say that this is the cause and effect of a change in a better reality with the Sun trine Uranus and with Mercury in Virgo being like, you know what? I understand my reality. Is it going in the long term where I really want this to go? Or am I just going to sit here through this Mars retrograde for 3 months and not take the chance to do something different? So this is a lot on this Tuesday just alone, that's what's processing deep inside with a moon still in Pisces on top of Neptune. Playing different dimensions out, playing different spiritual energies out, and looking at all that. So there's a lot there. And with Mars and Lilith as well too, Black Moon Lilith, there's this need and desire to have to take action. But with Saturn in square, with Jupiter, Pluto, and Venus in square in Cancer, it's too hard emotionally for many. Or you don't know where that emotion is, or you don't know how to handle that, or you don't have the value of yourself emotionally to put your true emotions out. You're like, no, I'm not good enough for that. And with that square to Saturn, it's like, well, the moral compass says I shouldn't do this. Well, the moral compass of Saturn in Capricorn is, are you in alignment with your long-term best destiny? Not the moral compass of the unwritten laws like, well, that would maybe hurt them a little bit emotionally, but it would hurt me more. It's like, no, like Saturn does not want to get hurt himself. So Saturn makes tough choices. Not easy. I'll be honest, as an entrepreneur, it's not easy. I've had to fire people before. I've had to let go of people. I have to do meetings. I have to say, hey, we're not doing this. We have to do this. Or, it's not easy in a relationship being like, hey, I just, this, we need to talk about this. This is not going the direction or whatever. But these are the things that are coming up for people that they don't know how to handle at this moment. And it's whether or not you're ready to take the experimental risk of making your life better. So if we move on to Wednesday here, we're getting prepared for this Venus-Mars. And it's exact here. Boom, Wednesday, Venus at 27 degrees of Cancer, and it is squaring over to Mars at 27:52. So, it's almost like with this moon coming into Aries, that's going to join now all this stuff before Mars goes retrograde. This is the last time we're going to see the moon with Mars before the retrograde. We are fired up for what we really want in our life. We've gone through the visions. We've gone through what experimental things. We've gone through that Mercury trine Saturn. We've gone through the Sun trine Uranus. We've gone through a lot of really big aspects on this full moon that even followed the day prior or forward after that. But in the day prior was kind of weird with the moon, and it's just void off course the last weekend. It was just like, ugh, crap. So this Venus square Mars is the heat that's on. The heat of Mars to Venus and Cancer. So I'm going to use a really kind of funny example. Like Mars and Aries, and this is a true story. My parents, you remember America's Funniest Videos? Used to submit videos. So my father, who's a comedian at heart, always has been his whole life, double Aquarius, right? Sun and moon. And how funny, he had a double Leo sun. Literally double Leo sun, but as a son. Nobody got that joke. But we used to have this miniature schnauzer that used to talk. But it also was protecting my mom like crazy. And so my dad made a funny video of my mom where, you know, before they went to bed at night, my mom would be in her bed. And my dad would then try to enter the bed and, you know, he'd want to go make some love, you know what I mean? And the dog would not let him, you know what I mean? The dog would always go, meow, you know what I mean? Like, meow, meow, like little Polly. If you don't know your stripper name, it's the first street you lived on and the first pet that you had. So I'm, first pet, first street. So I'm Polly Avocado. That's my stripper name, if you don't know. So Polly did not like that. So they made America's Funniest Home Video of that Mars going in, but then there's that feminine in the bed all like in its pajamas. Like, I'm comfortable right here. I don't know if I really want that. That's Mars square Venus in Cancer, right? In Aries, right? Like, it's like, I want this. I'm the god of war. I'm the god of all these things of sex and passion and all that. And here's Venus in Cancer. Like, I'm kind of chill right now. Like, I don't know if I really want to like take off my pants and take off my panties, and I'm not even wearing my nice bra. I went there. Because, are you that? You know, it's funny, like, I can say trailer trash because I have a trailer. And I actually take a shower out of my trailer. So, I feel like trailer trash when I'm out having a cigarette in my trailer. People will be like, that's a nice trailer, and you smoke it? And I'm like, fuck yeah, if I'm gonna have a trailer, I'm gonna smoke in my trailer, you know? Anyway, it's like, are you kind of that person that's just sitting on the couch? Like, I don't want to do nothing. The passion of life is trying to change you, and now I'm too comfortable in shit. Like, I don't really feel good right now. Well, maybe Mars is trying to tell Venus, like, you don't feel good because you're not changing by taking an action or maybe adding some passion into your life here to make a change. Whatever that might be. It doesn't have to be, of course, in the bound chicka wow. And that's the problem, because then there's Saturn in opposition to Venus still, even though it's just passed. But that Saturn then, Venus is kind of like, oh, but you know, I have all these other things that I'm paying attention to, or I'm just kind of cut off right now. And so the feminine energy is going through a lot, and the masculine, and the masculine's on its last like deal right before it goes to like kind of this weird war energy, right? Like Mars is kind of like, this is my last night before I go to war, babe. Like, you are gonna tell me that? You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like, it would be like a feminine too, just being like, I'm about to go do this with my girlfriends. We're going on a weekend thing, and you are not going to want to do nothing? Like, you're just going to want to act like I'm just not leaving for fucking 4 days? Oh, yeah, I know when ladies do that one. You know what I mean? Not because of me, but just because I've done 10,000 readings in my life. So it's like, oh, I hear that one a lot. So it works both ways. Same thing, different angles. But Mars square Venus is passion, and it also is where it's dead. So if you're in a relationship and it's dead, oh, it'll show itself. And then you will go, well, where's the desire that I need to find? I need the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop, and I will lick concrete if I have to. And that's really what this is about Thursday into Friday. And the moon in Aries with Chiron is going to then also bring up a lot about like, oh, well, shit. Yeah, I'm not feeling like I'm getting shit. Like, oh, man. And that's emotionally straining as well. Mercury at the same time is going to quincunx Mars and square the nodes. And so when you get this, I'm telling you, this whole week is action-packed. Am I really stimulated, or am I believing that everything's going to be fine? And with the quincunx to Mars, I mean, I want to take action, but I want to have it all figured out. Oh, okay. Sometimes it's like, you know what? I'm just going to be real, because I just got a new car because I've already told you guys about my car situation. It's been fucked up this year. Car got in a car accident, got another car, got lemon lawed, and so I went and finally got a new car. And fucking This car has every bell and whistle in the fucking world. And I know cars, I've had like fucking 25 cars in my life. But this thing, even when I got in it, do you think I was gonna sit there at the dealer all day and just be like, okay, so this does this? I just fucking was like, you know what, let's just fucking go and I'll figure it out. Let me go out there. Or are you the person that has to have everything figured out before you fucking just do anything? That'd be like, you know what, we're gonna go make love tonight. Hold on, let me get out my Tantra book right here. Look at this position. You know? Like, can you do that with me? You know what I mean? Like, look, I'm even wearing cowboy boots tonight. You know what I mean? No. People who do that in life with Mercury and Virgo and quincunx to Mars and Aries don't ever get anything right, because you only get experience through action and in the moment of the action, not trying to pre-calculate so overwhelmingly in the stress. And with Mercury sextiling Venus, it's like, okay, there's that emotional, like I need emotional security and all that, and I need to feel good in order to make the change. And that's why Mars is pissed. So that means, especially with, Lilith being exactly with Mars while it's squaring Venus, oh my God. You want to talk about some explosions? Good or bad, in relationships this week, especially Thursday into Friday. Because then we get to Venus. And you know what? If somebody tries to start a fight with you, because this is also Mars square Venus, right? So here's Venus 28, but 26 or 27 too. If somebody tries to start a fight with you, even maybe tonight or into tomorrow or whatever about things, they're out. Not worth it. That's a sign. Their ego is like pushing you so hard to be a certain way, and then you'll really see the truth of who they are. Or they just don't get life. They just don't get it. They only get their own emotional world. They don't get everybody else's. The sun trines Uranus. This full moon's about, we need to understand other people and be cool and be chill and go with the flow, or we're going to get crashed on, because this is that people thinking they got free will. But it's like, you do have free will when you connect to that destiny's telling me to do this now, not just because to do it. Because destiny's saying, I can do this now. I can take this risk. My emotions are not there. My emotions are here. My actions want to take this. They're going to go. My reality needs to change. I'm ready to change it. There's a crazy radical door open. It might seem crazy to everybody, but there's other people that it would be like the most amazing thing to. That's how you're going to know things that are very intense. Because on Friday here, we're still dealing with that Venus square Mars, but Mars and Lilith still together. So there's going to be some either rage or, passion, or just people taking action. And that builds steam to a water-based Venus. And Mars is still strangulated by Saturn, and there's the moon over Chiron, and that moon at 12 now is getting ready to square the whole Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn. And Mercury is done with the trines, of course, so Mercury's finishing here and in the sextile to Venus, where it's like, okay, let's make the change of let's have a good time, or let's figure out how to have a feeling of better. There's been a lot of pressure, and Black Moon Lilith on Mars is like, let's fucking do it. Because this weekend, bang, I did the chart exactly on Saturday, so at 9:45 p.m. Eastern, we are going to see the moon on Saturday on top of Aries, Mars Aries, with Lilith. Moon, Mars, Lilith, 28, 28, 28. And that's going to be exactly still square Venus. That's about to come into Leo. And at that same token, Mercury will now be in Libra. So this is where that negotiation comes in, or it's just, the excitement of something new and beautiful. If it's new, remember, Cardinal's all about new and new defined. But if you're still dealing with the universe put enough pressure Thursday and Friday to be like, is this really it or not? And this is where, I'll be honest, this is the degree of the Boston bombing with Mars, when it was with the sun in 2013. We got the moon, Lilith, and Mars here, and Mars has stopped. So let's look at Mars real quick. Mars is slow, doing 3 minutes a day. That is slow. that Mars is done. Mars is like, I'm about to go retro and join the row of retrogrades, right? Like, not happy in its home sign. Not happy. The moon is very reactive anyways in Aries. And if Mars is in that sign, and with Lilith, Black Moon Lilith on there, she don't put up with shit. So with that square to Venus, I'll be honest with you. Empty relationships are gonna be gutted. And there's gonna be their own battles. Just gonna happen. It's life. And we got to try and stay calm through that Mercury in Libra there and go to the things that bring us the stimulation, the excitement. Because remember, the dispositor of Mercury, of course, is right now, I would say, the understanding of this North Node in Gemini, which is where the universe is telling us to go towards. What makes logical sense and what is more stimulating and what is bringing us the excitement and what feels like it's more in alignment with us instead of, oh my God, I'm going to be hopeful and just keep trying things and be hopeful that it will turn into fortune without taking action and without actually changing the course. Change. Sunday, I did it for the exact. So this is pretty back to back. So if you saw, I did 9:45 p.m. on Saturday night Pacific, but Sunday at 1:45 a.m. Pacific. So within just 4 hours, Venus comes into Leo, and the moon comes into Taurus to square. So now we get the moon square Venus. Now that is pretty radical there, with Mars now stopped on top of Lilith, and Lilith actually just hanging on with the moon and Mars, but that moon in Taurus, remember, it's exalted. So that is about, let's feel really good, and it's aspecting now Uranus, which is that experimental vibe of, I got to try different things to get to heaven now. I got to be with the right people, the right connections. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I got a feeling this weekend, especially it's a holiday weekend in America, Labor Day. Oh my gosh, this is not going to be, you're going to see fights. Beware of where you go and who you're around as far as violence goes. Beware of all those things. This is not only just those transits, but then Venus and Leo square the moon in Taurus. Either people feel like they got it all. Venus in Leo is like, hey, I feel good. I look good. And Moon in Taurus is like, I feel good because I got all the goods and I really am physically got all the goods. But when those are in square, people who are without money or don't feel like their values are being heard or feel like they got an entitlement issue are going to now be squaring while Mars is on Lilith, while we are in a Sun in Virgo of everybody having critical aspects or wanting changes in reality. So, I'm giving you the preparation, but you don't have to be in that. It could be all the opposite of that. This could be all about an exciting new identity and passion, all about an excitement of love and happiness and a feeling of goodness through radicality of doing the truth, doing what is actually of truth nature, and finding that balance and harmony by not being afraid to be the diplomat for yourself with Mars in Aries and ready to come retrograde, and with Chiron in Aries. That this negotiation is for your own negotiation on your issues with your emotional, moral compass of the choices that you're making in your life that will bring you the real life that is truth. And whether or not you're ready to have that negotiation with yourself, or you're still just going to hang on the fence and not make no decision on it and just hope that somehow it'll go away. Yeah, right. It won't go away. It'll just continue. Monday. So I think that Sunday's really good once the moon gets out of that position. So Sunday looks pretty good, but I'm just saying that like Thursday, Friday, and Saturday is either a blockbuster hit of the most radical, The Notebook on fucking steroids, or Natural Born Killers, Rodney Dangerfield, the father, I know it's a really horrible description, with his daughter, and that fight, and that weird shit. I'm trying to think of a movie that's about a couple fighting and breaking up. I don't know. They always try to fix it or something, but this is definitely rough. Or kabam. It's kabam either way. And so the sun on Monday at 15 degrees of Virgo, we're halfway through Virgo season now. It's going to be trining that moon in Taurus. And we're going to see a grand trine with Sun, Jupiter, Pluto, the moon. So I think that this is us having the holy trinity of this beautiful new reality we either created and we can have and we can physically do because we were willing to experiment, look at the right situations. There's going to be a lot of things kind of going in direction we didn't possibly think that could happen. So if you're really set and sure, oh yeah, this is how my life is and this is how it's going to look, oh my God, you're going to get smacked in the face. I also think it's interesting too that the North Node moves at 25 degrees this week, and so, you know, this thing's starting to move, and it's still in quincunx to Saturn. So with Saturn quincunxing the North Node still all this week, it's like your destiny is a weird curiosity look towards making sure the environment and the communication is there, but more importantly, the twin-like energies that are stimulating to you that go there. Instead of trying to hope that somebody can be a twin or hope that some environment can turn into the environment you want, even though it doesn't have that naturally. You can't change nature. You can't change the nature of somebody. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. It's just the oldest nature thing in the book. Like that'd be like, let's take an owl on a old wooden tree, like a redwood tree up in the redwoods, and bring it to the moon and just hope that it will work out because you've spacewalked before or something. That's not going to happen. And that's going to be the hard part of this Mercury in Libra, of people either going to, I've already made the judgment, so I'm making the negotiation in myself with these oppositions in Aries to make my life this more beautiful place, and not being afraid to say, you know what, I don't have enough evidence that provides me enough security. And especially with Venus and Leo, now Venus takes the crown. Venus takes the throne. I am putting my essential happiness first. Or were you just, for the last, you know, especially with the Venus in Gemini since the end of March when it came in, and then in Cancer, that's in only 2 signs, okay, for half a year. So it's like, half a year have you been just kind of just dealing with this whole just like mental, emotional kind of, I don't know. Now you have to crown it. Are you ready to crown that? It's a lot like people stepping into a wedding and then being like a runner. You know what I mean? Like, oh wait, I don't know if I really want to crown that shit. We've seen a lot of breakups this year, and I just read an article that came out today. Or maybe it was yesterday. I think it was today. That the COVID times we're in, CV, I don't even like that name, highest divorce rate. It's like off the charts. I all told you that in my magazine even, 2019 and 2020 was going to be the biggest change of relationships of all time. So that's what we're coming into. The last day here, Tuesday, is the day before Mars comes retrograde. And it's kind of interesting because if we look at Mars here, it's at now 56 seconds. So we are seeing the stop completely. And this is the stationary day. It does on actually technically on the 9th stationary retro, but it's stationary direct here on the 8th. We see Venus at 2 with Mercury here at 4, so we're not seeing anything too complicated. But we are seeing the moon that will enter into Gemini, and that's why I said it's going to be like this last dash, like, oh gosh, and when that moon comes in, it's going to trine Mercury, sextile Venus, and so, you know, this is like, you either do it or you don't with things in life that you want to feel good with. And I would say with Mars here at 28, right, about to go retrograde, it's like, you know, it's at the edge here, and it's very extreme times. And we're seeing an opposition to Juno, 26. So, like I said, like this is either putting icing on the cake or this is throwing out a rotten cake. So you can't have a cake with good icing. Or you've been making a cake and taking the experiment and here it is and it comes. Because when that Mars goes retrograde, that lever's gone, and that's the lever that is the gas. And so what I want to show you all is the day that Mars goes retrograde. I'm just going to give you a preview for next week, Wednesday. So when Mars goes retrograde, it's with the Sun trine Jupiter. And that's happening a little bit into the night on Tuesday, actually. And Jupiter's retrograde. And the South Node's in Sag. The dispositor of the South Node, of course, is Jupiter. And Jupiter's in retrograde in its worst sign. If you can just, let me just do it again and show you the only negative. Well, the moon, of course, is negative here because it is going to be in hard aspects, but it is the -2 Jupiter. So, look at, Mars, even though it's in its essential dignity, is only at +5. Saturn's the ruler at +10. So the Sun trine Jupiter is this moment. It's my favorite day. You all know I love it. But it is kind of like you only get the fortunes of the destiny you set for yourself and the reality that you already chose. So I know it might sound crazy. You might be watching this on a Thursday because if you're on YouTube. And that's why you should probably get highvibe.tv because I fucking am with you every fucking day for over 8.5 years. But I'm just trying to tell you that on video like this. I'm just trying to tell you, I know it seems like, what? In less than a week, whatever I have defined my reality as is the fortune I get? Yes. That you have a time to make the change now. And that's how I'm ending this. With just one more chart. And that's the Helio. On Tuesday, the day before Mars retrograde, which is the Sun's chart with the Sun at the center. And what is it? Mars, 29 degrees of Pisces. Okay? So you will either feel like your biggest pitfall of your whole entire life, galactically, the dharma of the universe is going to feel that way. Or you're going to feel like, okay, I am ready for the ultimate, it's all set up. Because the last degree is, I'm all set up by God, and I'm ready for Mars to come into Aries. Or, no, and what is fucking going on? Saturn's down in Aquarius, which I didn't, pull the chart to show you, but this week is Saturn actually entering into Aquarius in Helio. We're done with Saturn in Capricorn. So this is the world that you are going to have is the world that you're going to have. And there is not a lot with Saturn in Aquarius that allows you to just get the world you want without a lot of choices and hard work. And of course, the world that you live in, either it's the restriction of it that you have to make the change of it. Let's be honest. When, Saturn went into Aquarius, from Capricorn into Aquarius in the early 90s, it was like George Bush was the president, the first George Bush. And it was like, fuck no, we're done with that. We're going to Clinton. You know what I mean? I remember that very well, even as a kid. I don't think anybody fucking wanted George Bush anymore. Let's be honest. Clinton was fucking was a radical, new, exciting thing. He was playing jazz and shit. It was fucking dope. So, this doesn't matter about politics. I'm just trying to use the examples. That this is a time now where you can't fuck around. Helio, Saturn's changing into Aquarius finally. It's been that long. Years since we've seen this. 28 and a half? 29 and a half? And don't forget that Pluto has now finally made it to 24 degrees. We have not seen that yet. We've not seen Pluto at 24, and that's happening right before this Mars retrograde. And Jupiter's there at 27 degrees. It's getting ready to leave Capricorn. It's going to take a while, but it's getting near the end. So, what are you doing? And Venus at 17 going to be opposed Mercury. This is deep questions about relationships and the values and what we're really going to do or not going to do. And Earth and Venus are in sextile. And Earth and Mercury. So Mercury, that's why we're going to see Mercury and Venus in a lot of alignments this week, even in Helio. Your social life, your reality, the people you choose, the people that you want to be around, this is all encompassing the character and the identity of who you are and who that you're going to choose that you're going to want to go through the experiment, or you're too afraid to make an experiment and you'll just be left with the way you've been feeling for the last 6 months. Or you'll be stuck with some situation that you aren't that into and really will feel like a raging dog that's tied up in a corner trying to bite the fucking leash apart to get out of it for the next 3 months. It's time to change your reality. You got Sun, Jupiter. Your fortune only is with Jupiter retrograde, unfortunately, in Capricorn, the worst place, with the South Node in Sag, is no more hoping on a reality or no more hoping on something that is not fully at the extent of the destiny that you want it all to be exactly in the reality that you want. If you feel like you need to change some sort of part of your reality and or you are hoping it will change, out. Because you won't get fortune there. There is no, I'm hoping that doing a daily astrology horoscope is going to work for 8.5 years. And I already know, and I already have proof of it, and it's a risk, and I put it all in, and I show up every day, and I don't know how I've shown up all the time, and I don't know how I show up every day, and that's what the number one question is to anybody that gets close to me in my life. How the fuck do you show up all the time? Because I know the fortune's there when I go all in, and I take the risks, and I take the true destiny of what I know I'm here to do. I don't question my destiny. I don't go, should I be an astrologer? Should I do this? Should I do a show named Deep Astrology? Should I wear a black t-shirt tonight? Should I do my hair this way? Should I wear this cologne? Should I wear an Apple Watch? Or should I have an Android? No, I'm gonna have both. Or should I, no, everything is fucking, I know that this is in alignment and it's all that it is. And there is no questions about that. And Venus and Leo, you have to take your relationships and see if you want to put the true crown on it, and do you want to put on the robe? Do you want to put on that king or queen robe on that person? Are you sure? And are you ready to walk around and identify the character of that person with you? Is Mickey Mouse about to pick Goofy or Minnie Mouse? Or even one of, maybe he's into ducks. Maybe he's into one of the, Daffy Duck or something like that. That's your big question. Because everything is just the big question. And prepare for the battle of the gods. And to also adjust and change your life radically in adjustment style and character and identity right away before this begins. Thank you for being a part of HighVibe.tv. Make sure that you subscribe. Make sure you check out, of course, Battle of the Gods. And, of course, spread this to all your friends, family. We love you so much at High Vibe. And please check out all the great content. And we'll see you on the next Deep Astrology.